Welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving a 2013 Fiat 500 Abarth. And I know this is kind of a weird one for the channel, but I see these all over the city, and actually, you always hear them first. They are raucously loud. It sounds like they have just straight piped exhaust with some very cool turbo noises from this 1.4 liter four-cylinder turbo. It's kind of hilarious. It's got 160 horsepower, 170 pound-feet of torque, and it weighs 2,500 pounds, which is pretty rare today. Not many cars weigh 2,500 pounds. Certainly not many weigh under 3,000. So I'm pretty excited to drive this just because I like chuckable, fun little toys. But this car is just so cute, and I can't help it. It's adorable, and with the Abarth badging and the scorpions everywhere, it makes it look a little angry. Now, it does have these pretty ferocious 17-inch wheels with 205s up front and in the rear. This is going to have quite a bit of grip. And although it looks very small, it's not like smart car small, although maybe, I don't know, maybe its dimensions are, but it feels quite a bit larger inside, especially for the driver. Now, the door feels like it takes up like half of the car. It's very bizarre. And the rear seats probably not going to do you a whole lot of good in the way. Let's get in there. Let's try it out. Oh, yeah, not the most comfortable place to be. You know, I've got just enough headroom to kind of make this work. It is kind of an awkwardly tall thing, but it's kind of a cool layout up front. It's very driver-centric. We have a 5-speed manual gearbox. It's actually quite fun to row. It might not be the most tactile thing. Well, you know what? We'll get into that later. But either way, this is a good place to be, and it's fun to drive. In the back, there's loads of space for groceries or things. I don't know what people do in their cars, but it's like a little city car, and you could knock these rear seats down. You've got loads of space. I mean, this is actually something where you could move some IKEA furniture if you had to. It's quite practical despite its tiny stature. And this car has always been about collaborations. I can remember the J-Lo commercials when the Fiat 500 Pop Edition came out with that sort of Targa roof. And then they've got Beats for the sound system. Not Bose, not Bang & Olufsen, Beats. So they definitely were targeting kind of a cool younger crowd. I really dig the rear diffuser with the dual exhaust coming out here, and you know, this appears to be functional. There's no, this goes right through. So I do think that this car is kind of well thought out in terms of style and functionality, and it's not just there posturing to show you all these funky vents and things. Like, it seems like it works. Under the hood, it's a tiny little engine with a tiny little turbo, and it does the job, and it has a lot of torque. And that's the thing, you ride the torque in this car, not necessarily the power. The top end fades away. We got a scorpion on that valve cover. We like that. So let's close it up, get on the road, and hopefully we don't get blown away by the wind, because this is going to be an interesting day in the little Abarth. Now, our key even says Abarth. They really went nuts with the branding on this. I don't see anything that says Fiat anywhere. Gauge is kind of interesting. We have our speedometer with our tach inside, and then inside that we've got fuel and coolant temperature with some other information. This one has about 20,000 miles on it, so you know, it should be in reasonable shape, and it's clearly been taken care of. I haven't found a speck of rust or anything on this car. And then over here we've got our boost gauge with a little I mean, I shouldn't say little, that is a massive shift light. Our 5-speed gearbox, this is a chunky shifter. I would probably not go this large. I think we'd go a little smaller. I think maybe that's an aftermarket thing I would change to that shift knob. At first, I thought this armrest was awkward, and then I realized it's actually perfectly ergonomic to kind of drive around and, you know, shift without moving your arm too much. It's kind of clever. I'm into it. We've got a handbrake. Always appreciate a handbrake. It's surprisingly zippy. I mean, 160 horsepower goes a long way with this little weight. And, you know, there are some weird things about it, though. The seating position in this car. I feel like I'm sat up, like, on top of the thing. I wish I could get a bit lower in this chassis. maybe that's a safety thing. Maybe that's so I can see the world around me. I know a lot of people like to be up high in their cars. Anytime I talk to like my mom, she always prefers to be sat up high. That's why she drives an X3 or like, you know, enjoys those types of SUVs. I would rather be a bit lower in this thing. I do have the headroom for it though, so that's not a concern. In a car this small, like, you don't mind starting and stopping a bunch because it's easy. It doesn't feel like you're like fighting nature that hard to like bring it back down to speed. And there's like actually reasonable pedals for heel toe shifting. It's like a surprising joy to operate. There are things that I'm not thrilled about. The steering, it's like a tiny bit vague, but it's not so bad that I'm like getting caught up or letting it, you know, get the best of me. Gotta watch out for certain bumps though. I mean, this is a small car. I like the turbo. I think this engine is just really fun. It has a lot of character. His brakes are fantastic, actually. And part of that might just be because the car's so light. Oh, a little pop on that overrun. I've just been having so much more fun in light little cars lately. And I like how playful this is. I like how this engine actually revs out nicely. I like how this turbo comes on and just gives you this wave of torque to ride. Falls off at the top. It's only a 5-speed, so we get out here on the highway, and that's where we're at, 70 miles an hour, 3,000 RPM. Definitely more of a city car, but, you know, we'll spend a little more time on the highway, but so far so good. We're comfortable, we're confident. I just feel like this is hysterically fun. And there's really no substitution for weight loss. You know, when we're talking about something this light, you can just do things, and I think it's fun. You know, you can take something like, you know, the Golf, the Rabbit in front of us. That's like the formula, right? That's the thing. That's what everybody wants to be. And this dials it down a notch in the right ways, where it is lighter, it is smaller, it has this tiny little short wheelbase. Bit of torque steer, but not, is it ripping the wheel out of my hand? It's not like a Mazda Speed 3 or anything like that. Is that still a relevant statement? I'm talking about Mazda Speed 3s from a long time ago, but you get the vibe. You know, you still have to be in control and hanging on to this thing. I'm finding this engine to be playful enough where, like, even just rev match downshifting, giving it that little blip, the revs come up so perfectly. It's actually tuned really nicely, which I'm glad about. This is a gorgeous 500 SL. That's cool. Always like to see that. Take care of your classics. Now, I don't know that many people feel that cool about this car because it's little, and I think it has kind of like a clown car stigma. However, it is hilariously fun to drive. And like I said, anytime I see people ripping around the city in one of these, I'm like a little jealous. An M3 that I've been driving for the last like 6 years, not a great city car. You know, you can't shuck that car around that much. It's 3,600 pounds, and you've got to get the revs way up to have any fun. It's geared a little long, all this other stuff. Whereas this, if you do have a lot of low speed driving in your life, or that you're just in tight little roads, a car like this can do a lot of damage. Like, this is what I would rather be driving at Tail of the Dragon than even that 996 I had. Let's talk about this exhaust. Now, it is pretty loud. It is actually shockingly loud for a stock car. It does sound like this has to be aftermarket. It's not. This is what they are. I do think that's cool. I think it's something just to be aware of, that maybe if that is not the vibe that suits you, you know, maybe that's not for you. But the sound of this car is a significant part of the charm. This thing is so easy to drive. People ask all the time, like, what's a good car to learn a stick on? I think this is my new top choice. Makes little roads fun. Like, I'm not really speeding on this road, you know, and I don't want to. I don't want to be like endangering anybody, or, you know, a dog runs across the street or something. I don't want to be in that position, but you kind of have to have a light, nimble little car to enjoy cars at reasonable speeds. I think it sounds faster than it is. Like, I have at low speeds already had an old lady walking down the street go, slow down, and I was giving her a ton of room and going like 20 miles an hour. There's a lot to be said for a little car that is a salamander crossing. All right, now we got to be real. This place just gets weirder and weirder with the signs. I get turtle crossing, salamander crossing. Now I got to watch out for salamanders. Just trying to make the little pops happen now. It's fun. They're so authentic. I gotta say, it's very bizarre that there's signs for salamander crossing, because that means that putting out a sign that says like slow children or children at play is less effective than a salamander crossing sign. All right. So other than the seat being sort of high up and sort of an awkward shape, like this does look, it feels almost as strange as it looks, but it actually kind of makes a bit of sense. I don't know if I want to sit in it for hours and hours, but this shifter is in just the right spot. It really is. I'm genuinely shocked at how hard this little thing pulls. It's not slow. Like, it's not one of those cars where you're like, oh, it's all bark, no bite. Like, this thing is hysterically fun. This is one of those cars, like, if I owned like a Huracan and needed like a little city daily driver or something, like, I would have my supercar and my little Fiat 500 Abarth. This does the trick. I do wish it had a 6th gear. That would be nice. I feel like I don't need all these revs. It has a lot of torque. I feel like I'm just sitting in like an office chair driving down the highway. So things that I would change about this car. I wish there was like a touch more tactility in the steering. It's not bad. It's not bad. There's just this little bit like on center where it's just a touch vague. It's not crazy, just a little bit. And I'm just being picky, you know. I'm just giving you everything I got here. Shift engagement, a little bit boring. I can feel where I'm going. I'm never curious or, you know, concerned about what gate I'm going into. Actually, you know what? Let's just go enjoy another on-ramp, because that's what this thing is all about. You are going to live at a roundabout in this car. Third gear pulls really nicely. Like these brakes. I want to take this to a racetrack. Like, this is hysterically fun. This is hysterically fun. I'm having so much fun. I think I'm gonna go bring this thing back. Main takeaways. Steering, a little bit vague on center. You know, there's enough tactility to know what's going on through most of a corner. It weights up okay. I would just like a little more tactility there. I think it's because this is an electric assist and it's like a Fiat, you know, it's like a Chrysler electric assist, probably not the best in the business. I would love a 6th gear. I would like a little more tactility. I want to get past this truck because I feel like I'm in the Fast and the Furious right now. I would like a little more tactility in the shifter. I'm sure there's aftermarket kits that you could adjust with that. I'm being picky. It's still a good little shifter. No issues there. But I think what I'm most surprised about is just how grippy it is, how fun it is to chuck into a corner. I mean, it looks like it should be, but like sometimes looks can be deceiving. Sometimes things look cooler than they really are, and this is fun. And the final thing is that I like this engine. I like the tuning. I like the throttle tuning. I think this is just a joy to drive. I wasn't expecting to be this engaged with it. Driving so many cars and engaging with so many different types of cars, sometimes I get a little bored. I do. There are cars that like the joy of driving is lost on me, and I have found myself wanting to continue driving this. That has to speak volumes, right? So there are many things that could be changed to make this a better car, but to be honest, it makes you want to drive, and that's the best thing you can have in a vehicle. So thank you so much to Bond Group for tossing me the keys to this Fiat 500 Abarth. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, no matter what you're driving. And I'll see you in the next one. Oh, kill me.